Dr. G, please ask Taj to address the Supreme Grand Council issue that people are saying, falsely, I believe, that he is ignoring.
I'm not ignoring anything among our people. I've been doing this for about 40 years.
Supreme Grand Council issue.
Because the Supreme Grand Council is actually rightfully with Moors coming together, which they should do logically, and all activities basically should be transparent and to the public, with manuals available to the public relative to diversity of their positions under constitutional principles that are established in fatwa, in Muslim law, etc., that are adopted in constitutional principles and treaty operations called consular venues. And what you find is that people, the common people, to whose birthright that we're all addressing, aren't even aware of it because they're not teaching them. The people are more interested in positions and titles and controlling people. And I'm saying people that need that, have fun. It's not what I do.
First of all, we must internalize the flatulation of the matter by transmitting the effervescence of the Indonesian proximity in order to further segregate the crux of my venereal infection. Now, if I may retain my liquids here for one moment, I'd like to continue the redundance of my quote-unquote intestinal tract. See, because to preclude on the issue of world domination would only circumvent, circumcise the revelation that reflects the aphrodisiac symptoms which now perpetrates the Jericho's activation. So, do not misinterpret the chauvinistic...
Give to the United Negro Scholarship Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to develop without help.
Allow me to expose my colon once again. The ramification inflicted on the incision placed within the fallopian cavities serves to be holistic, taken from the Latin word jalapeno.
Peace, 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 peace. I'm Rami Salamel. I thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Had to start you off with a little jokes because it's finna get serious, finna get deep. Exposing Taj Tarik Bey, challenging all Moorish Americans. Oh my goodness, what you finna talk about, Rami? What's that Supreme Grand Council? But before we can get there, we gotta set the foundation. You know what I'm saying? I wanna make sure that you understand what the Supreme Grand Council is, what are the functions, before we move on to Taj Tarik Bey and the statement. We're going to get back to the video. But, first let's set the foundation. Then we're going to get to Taj Tarik Bey. And then I'm going to come back in and we're going to have a little discussion. Yeah.
The part I would like to focus on in this letter is the Supreme Grand Council. Why? Because I believe it is the root cause for the many other issues we're having within our movement. The Supreme Grand Council is an integral, governing, and administrative component of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Supreme Grand Council was created by Noble Drew Ali and assisted the following duties and responsibilities: to control and supervise all the affairs of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to control and supervise all the properties of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to be the sole judge of what constitutes conduct injurious to order, peace and interest and welfare of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to be the sole judge of what constitutes conduct at variance with the Constitution and bylaws, rules and regulations made of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to be the sole judge of any sufficiency of the evidence by which such conduct is shown. So we'll stop there and we'll just go to yeah.
The Supreme Grand Council. So the Prophet Noble Drew Ali knew that when he passed off the scene, that he would leave his power in those 7 men, tried and true. Now, according to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, this would be something like a board of directors, the Sheikh board, or what other name could you use?
Executive rulers.
Executive rulers, okay. And that kind of ties in the questionnaire too, executive rulers. But the origin of this Supreme Grand Council was clearly an idea of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali himself.
Right, that's why very important that members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, members and officers of the Moorish Science Temple of America understand that this is what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali wanted done. It's not something that was put together by you and I, for example, or anybody else. This proceeds directly from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who was divinely prepared and sent to us from Allah. So this was his will. He being the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, he said that all authority and power of the Moorish Science Temple of America was vested in the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and those whom he appoints to act as in the supreme body. It was his intent that there be 7 men chosen who tried and true.
What would be some of the duties of the Supreme Grand Council as evidenced by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali? I mean, as evidenced by the very fact that it had its origin and it had its setting in 1928.
If we look at the Chicago Defender, for example, they reported on the success of the convention in 1928, and in an interview, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali told a reporter who wrote down what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali told.
And we have copies of that.
Yes, we have a copy of that. That is very similar to the other article that I just quoted from, because there was misunderstanding at that time as to where the seat of power was vested. And that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was forced to make changes. I'm sure that most members have read that article because it appeared in the Moorish Guide. They say he was forced to make changes. The Prophet congratulated those who had been loyal and faithful. But he said he had to make changes because there were those who did not understand what the seat of power is vested. The Prophet has caused the following to be published. Well, in a similar vein, this is what he said to the reporter for the Chicago Defender. He said, "It is reported that the Prophet, the supreme head of the Moorish Science Temple of America, will appoint," again that word appoint, "a Supreme Grand Council, of which he will be Supreme Grand Chairman. That it will be the duty of this Supreme Grand Council to regulate all of the affairs and the properties of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and to be the sole judge of what constitutes conduct injurious to the order, peace, welfare, interests of the organization, and to interpret anything that would be at variance with the doctrines of the Moorish Science Temple of America." I'm paraphrasing now. But clearly this is what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali wanted done. It's what he wanted done, and not what some members of the organization, including myself or you or anyone else. This is what he said.
The Supreme Grand Council is the central authority of our organization. To talk about the Supreme Grand Sheikh and Chairman is to talk about the Supreme Grand Council. This the central authority they attempted to sweep that entity under the rug years ago. And it started in 1934, I think, where they says, well, if we sweep the supreme body, the Supreme Grand Council under the rug, then there's no central authority. With no central authority, then we have a free run of what we want to do. And that's unfortunately what you see here today in Moorish America. Not respecting the central authority, noted as the Prophet put the supreme body / Supreme Grand Council in effect, headed by the Supreme Grand Sheikh and Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
All right, now that you got the foundation of what the Supreme Grand Council is, and not by me, not my opinion, it's other individuals reading it, you know what I mean? And they're just reading what Noble Drew Ali established, because again, this came from Noble Drew Ali. The Supreme Grand Council was created and established by Noble Drew Ali. We got to make sure we understand that, okay? But now we're going to go back to the Taj Tarik Bey video, And I want you to listen more closely now that you have an understanding of what the Supreme Grand Council is. Listen to the question and then listen to his answer or his response, if you will. And then we'll come back.
Dr. G, please ask Taj to address the Supreme Grand Council issue that people are saying, falsely, I believe, that he is ignoring.
I'm not ignoring anything among our people. I've been doing this for about 40
Supreme
years.
Grand Council issue.
Because the Supreme Grand Council is actually rightfully with Moors coming together, which they should do logically, and all activities basically should be transparent and to the public, with manuals available to the public relative to diversity of their positions under constitutional principles that are established in fatwa, in Muslim law, etc., that are adopted in constitutional principles and treaty operations called consular venues. And what you find is that people, the common people, to whose birthright that we're all addressing, aren't even aware of it because they're not teaching them. The people are more interested in positions and titles and controlling people. And I'm saying people that need that, have fun. It's not what I do.
I have a lot of respect and appreciation for the work that Taj Tarik Bey has done and others have done. But I want to make it clear, for the record again, and especially to young Moors, people that are just coming into this information, don't worship no human being, no man or woman, no master teacher, no Moorish scientist, no Moorish American, no prophet, no messenger, no human being we should be worshiping. Only one deserves worship. And that's our Creator. Some people say God, Allah, Jah, etc. Now with Taj Tarik Bey, as much as I appreciate, respect, was inspired by his works and his teachings and his talks, all of that, I don't worship that man. I understand that that is just a human being, capable of making mistakes, capable of lying, being incorrect. It's the facts. Now, I know that may hurt some Moors out there feelings who actually do worship this man, who do believe that he's a prophet. That's what you can believe. You can feel that way if that's what you feel. But I'm here to tell the young Moors, the Moors that may not be aware, the Moors that just may be coming into this information, don't worship Taj Tarik Bey or any other Moor for that matter, or any other human being for that matter. Stand on principles. And one of our 5 principles, as Moorish American that is truth. I got to be truthful. Taj Tarik Bey was simply incorrect in his description or breakdown of the Supreme Grand Council. Whether he was intentionally and willfully lying and misleading Moorish Americans and the people, I can't say for certain because I don't know his intent. I don't know his heart. I do know the teachings of Noble Drew Ali and the functions and how the Supreme Grand Council was established is very clear. And I know what Taj Tarik Bey said in regards to the Supreme Grand Council was not clear at all. In fact, it had nothing to do with what Noble Drew Ali taught and what Noble Drew Ali established. And that's a problem, especially coming from an elder, coming from someone who identifies as a Grand Sheikh, coming from someone who's identified as a master teacher. And why am I doing this publicly? Why is it? What's the secret? What are we hiding? I done got people asking me, yo, Rami, why are you going at Taj? Why are you speaking on this? You need to speak behind closed doors. No, I don't. It's time to be transparent. It's time to be honest. It's time to be genuine. It's been too much of that, keep it in the dark and secret and all of that. We ending that. You feel me? Think about this. How many videos does Taj have speaking exclusively, specifically about the Supreme Grand Council? How many lectures has he done specifically on the Supreme Grand Council? How many books has he sold specifically teaching on the Supreme Grand Council? He said he'd been doing this for about 30 or 40 years. He done spoke time and time again about driver's license and this and that and the third. What about the central authority for the Moorish Science Temple of America? And it's the last thing. This isn't a personal shot at Taj, or this isn't me trying to pick at Taj or go at Taj. This is about principle. Because I've addressed this with other Grand Sheiks back in 2015.
I'm going to read a question that's coming in from Assistant Grand Sheik Rami Salam Il. And the question coming through the chat says, does any of the Grand Sheiks know who are the members of the Supreme Grand Council for the Moorish Science Temple of America? Islam.
Islam. I wouldn't have an answer for that question. I yield the floor.
Islam, Sheikah K. Glover, L.
Islam.
Okay.
I give all praises to the great God Allah, honor to His divine prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Islam, the Supreme Grand Council is something that always comes up. Who's the Supreme Grand Council? Who's the Supreme Grand Sheik? Who's the Grand Body, ETC? Who's the Supreme Grand Council, honestly, Moors, is when all of the temples come together and there's no little I's, no big U's, but everyone working together as a whole. That's the Supreme Grand Council. There is no Supreme Grand Body, because there's only one body, and that's the body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. There's different administrations, there's different individuals, there's different titles, etc. But there is only one Supreme Grand Council, one Grand Body, etc., and that is when we all come together and lay aside egos. With that, I say peace in Islam.
Islam, thank you. Grand Sheik Arnel Bey, do you have anything to add?
Islam, I would like to say exactly, I would like to add this, Muslims. When people come like that, they're coming as Lucifer, Satan, Devil, Dragon, and Beast. Because most of these brothers and sisters know the answer, okay? Well, they want you to get on here and say, my body is the right body. There's only one body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. There's only one prophet in the Moorish Science Temple of America. And there's only one Allah in the Moorish Science Temple of America. And Allah alone controls the destiny of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Not Arnel Bey, not E. Braswell Bey, not D. Bailey Ill, not Kenyu Bey, not Dawid Ill, not Taj Tarik Bey, not Nature Bey, or anyone else. So please get this understood. Now, the Grand Sheik has said it very swift, okay? Well, some will say you won't see that. And I beg to differ, Muslims. I went to go sit down with D. Bailey Ill, okay? And he told me he's starting to see a change of unity coming along. You're starting to see Moors from other administrations, if you want to call it that, or other flections, or however you want to call it, come together and say, look, Muslim, I ain't got time for that. They shoot us in the back. You see? So we don't play those games. We see one prophet, we see one Allah, and we see one Moorish Science Temple of America. For the others who don't see that, 1453 them mentally. Don't let anyone play with your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul and tell you, well, I'm the only one in charge of this movement. They're not alone. They can't do anything. So with that, don't get caught up, Muslims. Don't be hoodwinked by these brothers and sisters out there. When you come to the convention, When you come to those authority days and you see those Muslims working together, we just went to authority day in the Mecca that King Bey and his staff put together, and it was beautiful. Praise be to Allah. It was many Muslims from every so-called fraction of the Moorish Temple of America, no political, nothing, all the Moors getting along, sheiks and Arabs and members and children, our future, enjoying themselves. This is how you will see the Supreme Grand Council. It's coming, Muslim. It's here. It's just some of these old Moors got to get out the way. Who got that Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, the beast within their hearts, and they're breathing it upon their members. But it's over. Their time is out. Islam.
Islam, thank you. Grand Sheikh Ramiel Bey?
Islam. No, I don't have an answer to that question. With that, I yield the floor.
Thank you.
And see, as you see in that footage, none of them had the answers either. Shout out to it. No, that's all. Let me focus. But I do want to say, and I got to send a shout out to Harker. Shout out to Taharka Bey. Even though I disagree with him on some things, I don't really like the way he's going about certain things. I personally feel, this is my opinion, I personally feel that the energy that he's using in some of the videos he's making right now could be used to help audit the Moorish Science Temple of America, to help uncover and discover all of the intricacies to our history. You know what I mean? His attention to detail in terms of investigating and putting together things is very important, and I think it's just misguided. But that's beside the subject. My point here is, with Taharka, even though I disagree with him on some things, I got to show respect to that brother because he's at least willing to address the issue. He's at least willing to come to the table and say, yes, let's deal with this Supreme Grand Council issue.
It's brother, I am hip hop. Let me stop for a second. Brother, I'm just showing you how it works. Brother, we know that many people are concealing a lot of records as it relates to the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I found some of the records. I've seen some online. I just had the ability to piece it all together. Because I've traveled. I've seen things. I've studied the Moorish Science Temple of America inside and out. Heck, I'm still waiting on the videos of the Prophet. The videos of Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the audio of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So you're asking me a question. I'm telling you that there is still some things that we have not came upon yet.
Even though I disagree, I gotta respect that. And this is my challenge to Moorish Americans. I want you to see your leaders, your grand sheiks, governors, ministers, etc. All of the more scholars that you may watch on these videos. Ask them. Challenge them. We need to address the Supreme Grand Council issue. Put the pressure on the leaders. If they can't handle the pressure, get up out that kitchen. You know what I mean? If they can't address this issue, which is we have to address this issue or we will not move forward. That's why we have been stagnant to this point. If they can't address that issue, then ask them kindly, hey man, step aside. Let somebody who's willing to do the work get in that position. Or you step up and better yet, you do it. You make the video. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. More Islam. You feel me? All right. That's all I really got for today. Yeah, that's all I got. Ultimately, follow Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali is the prophet. Study Noble Drew Ali's teachings. please follow his teachings first. Not Taj Tarik Bey, not Taharka Bey, not Rami Ismail, not Womp or whoever else. You feel me? Start with Noble Drew Ali. That's how you make sure you know you're going in the right direction. And if you start veering off course, if some other person is taking you off course from the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, hey man, you swear that thing right back. You feel me? All right, I gotta go. Man, the Supreme Grand Council. For those that do want to deal with the Supreme Grand Council issue, reach out to me. iamhhtemple@gmail.com or hit me in the comments section. And those that have an issue with me, it's still all love. Much love to you and yours, even if you got hate towards me. You feel me? That's the Moorish American way. Ooh, I like that. Much love. Keep shining. Love instead of hate. Love is the key. Love is the way. You have a beautiful, amazing, yeah, that's all I got. Peace.